We're checking out my review for this Oossxx wireless home video surveillance system. I've been wanting one of these for a while because I have a brother who's a police officer and he swears by video cameras both as a deterrent from crime but also to help solve the crime should one actually happen. But there was a couple things that kind of kept me from doing that. One of them is the cost. Before this one, the cost was just too much. It was out of my price range. Even though in theory, if this protects you from one burglary, it's already paid for itself. But the real big deterrent is that I rent my home, and so I can't be running wires, drilling holes through the walls and running wires everywhere. So the fact that this is wireless is really was really appealing to me. Literally all you do is just screw your antenna on there, plug in the power cord, and you're good to go. So this is if you're wiring it, this is just a power cord. So as far as power goes, again, I don't want to be drilling holes through the wall, so what I did is I got some of these. These are $3 socket outlet converters. So you screw this into an outside socket, and then you just plug that into there, and you're good to go. And then mounting it to the wall, I'm actually going to mount it to my rain gutters through using a neodymium magnet. This is a 70-pound magnet, so it should easily be able to hold this camera up. I'll either mount it to one of the screw holes that way or kind of epoxy it down in there depending on how it works out. So the system that I bought comes with 4 of these cameras, and then also this DVR. It comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive. DVR, super simple to set up. Keep saying that, but it really seems it. If it turns out that it's not as simple as I'm thinking, I'll make a comment in my review. But for now, it looks pretty easy. HDMI out to my TV, or if you're using a computer, VGA. It comes with a mouse if you need to control it through there, and then just the power plug. These things need to be screwed on for the antenna, and that's about it. So all in all, this really shouldn't take me more than about an hour to set up, which is pretty awesome because I've spent a lot of hours helping other people set up video cameras, even just 1 or 2, trying to run wires through the ceilings and fish them through the walls. It takes a long time. So the fact that this is wireless and using this as my power should really cut down on the install time. I'm going to install it, and then I'm going to get some screenshots both from the TV and also directly from the app. I love that it has an app because you can check on your home when you're away. But I'll get some screenshots of both of those. I'll post it here on Amazon, but I'm also going to post it on YouTube. I'll give you either a link if Amazon will let me or a description on how to find it because Amazon makes us downscale our videos because they don't want to host large videos. YouTube's a little more friendly with that, so I'm going to try to upload a full quality sample of the video to YouTube and let you guys decide how you like it. For now, I'm pretty stoked about this. 4 cameras for a couple $100 is just a crazy good deal, and a 1 terabyte hard drive should get about a little over 200 hours, almost 300 hours of footage. I plan on running mine full time. They do have motion sensors, and I'll probably test those out and see how sensitive they are. If they're sensitive enough, then I'll go ahead and go for that as well. And then after that, I'll give you my final reviews of it. For now, the quality of the system, it feels really nice. I mean, it's hard to say with electronics, but you know how some electronics that are not name brand, they feel cheap. This doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a nice quality electronic. I'm super picky with my electronics, so if I end up giving this 5 stars, it's because it really deserved it. If I don't give it 5 stars, I'll give you the reason why. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I did get it mounted. I used the magnet and it held okay. I didn't want to mount it, like actually inside like I showed you because it just seemed like a lot of work, especially because on the rain gutter I could just run a zip tie. So obviously not the most secure. I mean, somebody could rip it off, but they could cut the wires. It doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of ways to disable these, so I wasn't as concerned with that as it just not falling off. And so zip ties actually hold really well. I did go ahead and use the plug, if I can get my tree out of the way there. So I did use the plug, and that works great. We just keep it on and it works fine. Same thing over here, same kind of idea. Just use some zip ties to mount it. Obviously, if you're not renting and you can put holes in your wall, screw it in. It's a little more secure. It was more difficult to set up than I was expecting. Not impossible, just a little more difficult. I'm going to run you through how I did it so that it can save you some time. Okay, so this is taking a look at my TV screen with 3 of the cameras functioning. Because I disconnected one, I wanted to show you how to do it. So there's 2 different ways to do it. One is wired, one is wireless. Both of them start by going, you right click and go to Video Manage. If you haven't set a password, the username will be password, or username will be admin, and the password will just be left blank. You can see that 3 of these are connected. When you first get it, all 4 of these were connected for me. I had to delete them all and then add them back. If you don't see anything up here, this is the 4th camera. If you don't see anything up here, refresh it and let it do its thing to try to search for it. If you still don't see anything, what you're going to do is find this connection, and you're going to just plug the Ethernet cable that comes with it right into that connection there. So you just plug it in, make sure the light's on, make sure that obviously it's plugged into power, and then you're going to refresh it again. If you still don't see it after all of that, right click again and do Exit System and reboot it. And then that should show up once you go back into Video Manage. When you have it at this point, even if it's wired or unwired, we're going to do this one wired, so you can see it's plugged in. You're going to do match code. Don't do, I mean, you can do auto add. There's somebody else's description that actually worked pretty well also. This is the way I found that worked for me. So just do match code and push yes. You're going to let it match the code. So it's finding what it's doing is finding the IP address from this camera and from the wired part of it, and then adding it as a wireless. And that's fine. Once that's done, so that's all finished. So now you can just disconnect this wire, and it should keep working. So, oops, I'm kind of blocking it there. Oops, did I cancel? Okay, so push OK. So click OK. And then you can see it kind of, that 4th screen there kind of stopped working and then started again. Again, if you have issues with it, just restart your system and it should work again. So that's actually how you can connect these cameras. You can do them one by one. There's other ways to do it as well. The other thing I wanted to show you, system setup, is, where is it? Oh, I think it's network setup. So network setup, this is the cloud ID. So this little square right here. So for their app, you can follow the instructions to download it. I just pulled it right off of the Google Play Store. And then when it asks for the cloud ID, just scan that code. So that's just found here under the network setup and then show QR code. And that's all you have to do. So one of the things that my big complaint, and it's really my only complaint, because yeah, the setup was a little more tricky than I think it should have been, but that's really the case with any electronics. It wasn't super hard. You could see you can do that individually. It's not that bad. But my biggest complaint is the fact that in order to get this sent wirelessly so you can use it on the app, you have to have it plugged in, physically plugged into the router. Well, my router's in a different room than my TV, but I still wanted to be able to see it on my TV as well as my phone. So what I ended up doing is I got one of these. It's just a wireless repeater that can also be configured as a router. I used it as a repeater. I tied this in with my normal internet router, and once that was tied in, all I did was plug the Ethernet cable from the back of the box itself into this little thing here, plugged it in, and it works. Obviously it doesn't work now because it's unplugged. But that's an easy way and a really inexpensive way to kind of get around having to have this set right next to your router. If it works for you that way, cool. Other than that, I'm actually really pleasantly surprised. You can see the quality is actually quite nice. It gets, I mean, that's pretty good. That's really good. The nighttime quality also, the infrared works awesome. I mean, you can see plenty far to be able to do what you need to do. Love the fact that it's always recording. I have it set on loop recording. So that if something happens, I have a few days that I can actually go back and say and do the playback. The playback is a little bit, I want to say sketchy. Video playback. Oops. So you can set it for so that's in the last 5 minutes, and you can just push play. So this is actually the recording of that camera 4. So I said it was sketchy, and then of course this time it works perfectly. So who knows? So all in all, actually for the price, I feel like this is a really good set. I'm debating whether or not to give it 4 or 5 because of the setup, but I've never really had electronics not require setup. You know, very few are actually plug and play. I mean, something like this, if you get one of these, you're gonna have to spend some time getting to know it and setting it up too. So I'm not sure what I'll do yet. I gotta think about whether or not I'm gonna give it a 4 or 5. Why don't we call it 4.5 stars? Mostly because it's inexpensive. It is truly wireless aside from the power, which is awesome because this 4th camera is going really far away. I don't want to run 200 feet of wire to get it there, so it's awesome to be able to tap in. The quality's great. I really don't, aside from the setup, there's nothing really to complain about. So maybe 4.5 stars. Either way, super glad that I got this. It gives me a lot of peace of mind, especially being able to check it from my phone from a distance. So if you have any questions, go ahead and comment. I try to update these if I have any problems. And so if you do, if I do, you'll see an update at the top. Hopefully this has helped you to figure out how to set this up.